joining us here now. Reached out to him with the schedule release, the Monday Night Football booth. Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, and this man whose work I always enjoy tapping into when he calls into this show, Louis Riddick. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, Rich. How are you, man?
I'm doing fine. We saw what's going on in your life. Tell us about your new AV equipment you're all fired up about that you tweeted about. We saw that.
You know, man, you can just tell. Like I get bored sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just things that just the little things, man. And I think for me, a nice big new TV,
Nice.
surround sound. You know, I hadn't upgraded my TV in my house in a while.
Okay.
And I was out at Best Buy the other day, and I was like, that's it. There's one there. I was like, what's the biggest you got I can fit in my living room? What's the biggest you got? They're like, we got this new 75-inch Samsung 8K, blah, blah, blah. 8K. I was like, I need somebody to come to my house and hook this thing up. So they just came and hooked it up, and, man, I'm my boy, who's homeschooling right now for this year.
Yes.
He's just like, Dad, we're watching Seth Curry tonight on that right now. So we're all fired up here, man.
Yes, indeed.
Awesome.
Yes, indeed. Watching Steph take his 10 dribbles, breaking ankles, and then doing his MVP thing. That'll be fun for you and the fam. Great. That's awesome. Let's jump into some football here before we get to the Monday Night Football schedule.
Sure.
Just your keen insights to front office work and how things work. What do you think is going on with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, Louis?
Yeah, you know, I think Andrew Brandt put it real succinctly. I mean, I'll kind of paraphrase what he said, but he said, you know, with a unique skill set like Aaron has, and with the unique skill sets that all the great players that we watch, no matter what sport, comes the leverage to ask for different treatment, for special treatment, because now I think players are more aware than ever, Rich. I mean, obviously, you talk to them all the time on your show, the great players of the modern era, that they're more aware now of the kind of power that they wield and the kind of influence that they have over their respective organizations and the leagues overall that they participate in. And when you don't kind of respect that awareness as a decision maker, team builder, owner, whatever it is, and you just think that it's like how it used to be, like in the late 80s, early 90s, and I say that because during my time in the NFL, in the mid-90s, if you think it's like that still, where players just kind of just always automatically, universally, just about team, all right, that's fine, I'm going to kind of deprogram myself, I'm not going to worry about me, it's just about the team, and coaches can just shove that kind of stuff down your throat over and over and over again, and you'll constantly just accept what they say. If you think that that's the way things still are, then you lack awareness and you lack the ability to adapt to how things are done now. And I think Green Bay, because, you know, I heard somebody say this, I believe it was Dan Graziano said it on our network this morning, about the fact that Brian Gutekunst has been with the Packers basically his entire life in terms of his front office career, starting off as a college scout. I believe he was a college scouting director. And I remember, you know, when I was in the front office that he was, you know, on the road for them at that time. And he does things kind of the way they've always been done up there in Green Bay. That, you know, when Ron Wolf was running the show, Ted Thompson was running the show, and now he's running the show, that's how they've always done it. We make the decisions. We do what's in the best interest of the football team. The players kind of follow suit, and that's how they kind of expect it to be. And I think it seems to me like there's been a huge miscalculation as to how that was going to be received by a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who I think we all know is a pretty individual, you know, a pretty strong individual who has his own set of expectations and ways that he views things. And if you're not willing to adapt to that, and you're just going to think, well, he's just going to fall in line and accept things in the way we do things like everyone else has always done over the years, then I just think that just shows a stunning lack of awareness. And you better be willing to communicate with guys like that and give them a heads up and not embarrass them, so to speak. Look, Andy Reid used to tell us this all the time in Philly about how much it is a communication and relationship business, that it's always going to come down to that. And he used to conduct himself that way whenever there was a big transaction in Philly, whether it was we were bringing someone in that was kind of a well-known, high-profile player, or we were getting rid of a well-known, high-profile player. He didn't let the scouting department or the head of personnel handle it. He handled it. He was the one who wanted to communicate because he said those guys had earned that level of respect to where they They deserve to have an audience with the head coach, with the guy who is the central figure of the organization. And so if you're going to move up into the first round and draft a quarterback, and he's going to find out about it watching TV like the rest of the fans are watching it, how do you think a guy like that's going to react? And if there's more stuff behind the scenes that he's already been ticked off about, or rather that has rubbed him the wrong way, just from a personal one-on-one type situation, that's just adding fuel to the fire. And it just seems like that's what, from my intel gathering, that's what this comes down to. That it's not a money issue. It's nothing like that. It's truly a respect and communication issue. And when you're a guy like Aaron and you see the kind of influence Tom has in Tampa Bay, the kind of things that Russell was saying out there in Seattle, and you're seeing more and more guys, especially at the quarterback position, as you know, who know that the teams just cannot. You're not going to be able to function without me. You're going to want. It's in your best interest to have me healthy, both mentally and physically, and have me engaged in every facet of this organization. If you really want to get to where you want to get to, it's just weird to me that you wouldn't have that kind of awareness and you wouldn't kind of give Aaron that kind of respect.
Yeah,
the last thing I'll say about that is this.
Yes, sir.
And I know I've been going on and on here, but
this
is something that I feel really strongly about.
Please.
After the Super Bowl, when Patrick was running for his life in that game against the Bucs, Brett Veach is a good friend of mine, the general manager of the Chiefs. When Brett was just basically Andy's helper in Philadelphia before he ascended to the career he has now, I used to talk to him about all facets of team building and just player interaction and all of that. And when I talked to him after the Super Bowl, I said, "So, you doing all right?" And he said, "Man, no matter what I have to do, I got to protect Patrick. I've got to protect the quarterback. Nothing else matters but making sure that this guy understands that I am going to protect him and make sure that I give him everything he needs so that never happens again what happened in that Super Bowl. Because that's on me. That feels personal to me. I cannot let that happen again." And see that right there, like he knows. He knows it doesn't go any further than that. I mean, they can't get it where they want to get to unless that guy is taken care of. And I just don't understand, like with Aaron Rodgers, different scenario, different kind of situation, but you should just naturally, I believe, have that kind of interaction and that kind of relationship with someone who plays such a pivotal role in your success or failure as a GM.
So, and what you just said, Louis Riddick, I kind of echoed, or I said the same thing last week, that I frequently have conversations with my kids. That's conversation is just a way for me to put it. In this light, my wife and I as well, like when they do something and we react sternly, is one way to put it. Sometimes I'll say, well, what did you expect our reaction to be based on that behavior? Like, that's the sort of way, like, so you saying, hey, what do you expect the guy's reaction to be when he's sitting at home with a stiff drink watching the draft and he sees Jordan Love traded to go get? So that's the question I have for you is like, is this really all about not getting a heads up? I mean, or is it on top of the fact that Corey Linsley is now a Charger and things of that nature?
Absolutely.
So how is this if we are to, hear my colleague at NFL Media Group and James Jones or John Kuhn, that this is fixable? How do we put this all together? Like Gutekunst says, I'm really, really sorry. Like how does this actually fix it? What's fixable?
I don't know. And you know what? I think, Rich, when it becomes something that transcends business and it just becomes personal, like there's probably people that you know in life that no matter what, once they kind of like rub you the wrong way, they may be able to quote unquote fix it with you to the point where maybe you're cordial with them and you don't hold a whole lot of real negative animosity towards them to the degree where it affects you day to day, but you're able to tolerate them. But it doesn't mean you necessarily would want to engage in go golfing with them, or you'd want to go into a business venture with them, or you would want to work with them. And if it's to that point with Aaron, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he hasn't spoken about it. He hasn't made any public statement about it. So I don't really know how fixable it is until he gives us more clarity on exactly where he's at with it, how personal it is between him and Brian Gutekunst. And if it is something that an apology, a real sincere apology, a real sincere apology will make it so he goes, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'll come back because my boys are there. You give me the best chance to win. You are paying me a lot of money. I would like to finish my career in one place. Until he says something, we're all just guessing. Because for some people, and look, I'll be the first person to raise my hand. I'm guilty of it too. For sometimes, once it becomes personal and crosses a certain point, I don't care what you say to me. I'll be cordial with you, but I wouldn't want to work with you. I wouldn't want to be around you anymore. I wouldn't want to deal with you in that way. And we don't know if it's reached that point with him. So until he says so, we're just going to be kind of like discussing it and guessing.
Louis Riddick here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk about the Monday Night Football schedule, sir. You and Steve Levy and Brian Greasy in the booth. I've really enjoyed listening to you guys and watching you guys last year. Much is being made for the first game because you're going to be in Vegas with people and stuff. That'll be great. But, I mean, let's just say Rodgers does somehow, some way pull an Emmett, right? You got the Packers' first home game on Monday Night Football, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be quite something. I'm wondering what your thoughts on that and what else leaps out on this schedule for Monday Night Football.
Yeah, that would be something. I mean, obviously, I think the world would be much happier. The football world, in particular, would be much happier if he does show up. Obviously, for us, we want to see as many great players as we possibly can. I mean, we all know, the people who cover this business, that when great quarterbacks are on the field, it's just better for us all. I mean, we saw it that way with the draft. When there's stuff when the news is just kind of centered around quarterback play, it's just better. It just feels more exciting and more electric. And I think that'll be no different for us, and we'll all be watching that to see, just how this all gets resolved. I think the slate of games overall, Rich, is just, there's just so many good divisional matchups.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me personally, obviously that first game of the year is always, anything that involves the Raiders is very near and dear to my heart. I think going out there to Vegas, having been there last year with no one in there, I mean, absolutely nobody. And I mean, it was just such a weird, surreal experience being out there with no one there in this great, big, beautiful stadium. I think when you juxtapose that with how it's going to potentially look this year, I mean, I couldn't be more fired up for the opening game. And that's not just hyperbole. I mean, that's for real. Obviously, I think it's week 13, December the 6th. The Patriots go to Buffalo.
Oh, yeah.
That's another one that I have circled because, I mean, they got swept last year, the Patriots did. We saw them on Monday night late in the season up in Foxborough when Buffalo came in there and basically just punched them right in the mouth and pushed them all over the places. And they took Cam out of the game in the second half and let Jared Stidham finish the game. And I've never seen Bill look so defeated in my life. So that game going into Buffalo's a place I've been so many times when I was a kid. My brother was playing for the Bills. I remember going up there and running out on the field and looking up to Cornelius Bennett and Bruce Smith and all those guys when I was a teenager and a freshman in college. I mean, those kind of things are just. I mean, there's so many different games. I probably could tell you a story about every game.
I bet
how it touches me personally.
Yeah, you got.
And that's what's weird about this for me. It's hard to believe that I'm still doing it.
You are great at it, Louis, so you shouldn't say that another second. Eagles-Cowboys is a great matchup.
Yep,
that's week 3.
Go.
Week 4 is Raiders-Chargers. You want to talk about a beautiful stadium, that SoFi Stadium where the Super Bowl is going to be. That's going to be great, seeing Justin Herbert on a national stage. Then you've got, later on, you've got 2 NFC West tilts, and I think that's the best division in football. Rams are at 49ers. You also have Rams at Cardinals. That's after the Patriots and Bills, before you finish up with Vikings, Bears, Dolphins, Saints right in the middle of the big finale, Browns and Steelers. Then you got that double dip on the final weekend of the season, week 18, which you want to talk about weird things to say. Week 18, where the league is going to take 2 games from Sunday and give them to the worldwide leader and ABC and say, let's see what they're going to be games that are important for teams to stay alive so they can have a chance to have a Sunday result put them in. It's kind of like a play-in game is what the league is referring to in a way. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a blast.
Yeah, I mean, there's just it just the fun never stops throughout this schedule. It really doesn't. And again, to be a part of this crew and to be a part of something so iconic, and something that we all grew up watching as kids. Every time the music comes on, every time I hear that in my headset and you hear Phil Dean counting down to when he tells Steve to go ahead and go, I mean, I'm not kidding you. I literally get goosebumps, and I think back to my father, when I was in the late 70s, when I'm like 9, 10 years old, and just begging him to stay up to halftime to watch Monday Night Football when Howard and the group would come on, and I'm going, I'm actually talking about this. People are listening to me talk about Monday Night Football. It's surreal, man. And these games are fantastic. Going to Pittsburgh, Week 17, Cleveland at Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Played against the Steelers on Monday night when I was with the Browns. What I'm saying is the storylines just write themselves, man. I just can't believe we thought 4 months to wait until we kick it off just for Week 1. And
now your kids can watch Dad on a 75-inch television.
No question. Well, you know what? What's funny, man?
Be careful. That's when look, Lewis. Everything shows up. Okay. I mean, certainly if you got 4K or whatever, you got your 5K or whatever. 8K. Be careful.
Yeah, it's
8K. 8K. Oh my gosh, 8K. That's a lot of K. Be careful.
Believe me, I was just watching SportsCenter and watching some of the people on there. I'm going, oh, I can see everything with this bad boy. It's funny you say. I was just saying that too. I was sitting there going, man,
careful.
I can see what they had for breakfast looking at this TV.
A lot of K.
Yep.
Hey, before I let you go, ask Lewis our poll question. Chris Brockman, please, at Rich Eisen Show for people to vote right now. Go for it, Chris Brockman, please.
All right, Lewis, it's Frank Gore's birthday today. Who most deserves to make the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Frank Gore, Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers, Julian Edelman.
I can only pick one?
Yes, sir. This is Sports Talk Radio. It's Twitter.
Yeah.
There's no room for nuance, sir. It's Twitter. It's Sports Talk Radio. Come on.
Oh, geez. You know what? Frank Gore. Who was it? Frank Gore, Eli Manning, Julian Edelman,
and Phillip
Rivers.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably have to go with Phillip.
Wow. Okay.
What? I love Phillip. Look, some of this is subjective, man.
Of course.
Okay. I mean, I know. The criteria for getting in the Hall of Fame, people get all up in arms about this stuff. But Phillip has been one of my favorite. He was one of the greats for a long time. He played on some good football teams. I know he didn't win any Super Bowls. I know that people will say, well, he didn't win a Super Bowl and Eli won too. I get it. And Frank is a stud. There's no doubt about that. Julian, I don't really know. I haven't really looked into what Julian's stats are.
It's postseason.
To some of the guys.
It's postseason. Yeah. It really is. Yeah. It's when the chips are down, he plays biggest.
I'm going with Phillip, man. Phillip was one of my favorites. One of the smartest football players that I have ever witnessed play. I mean, he was just smart. He just didn't get the credit for it because he was going up against guys like Tom and Peyton and those guys. But Phillip was a stud, man. I'm going to go there.
Okay. Well, Lewis Riddick, the reaction I'm getting from my producer and friend Chris Brockman across the way, I don't think that take holds up in 8K in his opinion right there either. So
that's all right. That's okay. It's all good. But you know what? If you guys ever want to drop by the house and watch it, man.
Yes.
Just let me know.
Party at the Riddicks. Party at the Riddicks. Thanks for the
East Coast, man. Come on by.
Thanks for the call, Lewis. Appreciate it. Let's chat soon. You bet. Congrats on the new setup. Lewis Riddick, everybody. Monday Night Football.
That was awesome.
And so much more on ESPN. Love his work. Love his takes. Love his mind. Love his opinions. Love his experience.
Oh, yeah.
Truly.
He's the best.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.